Hello and welcome to this edition of Healthy Habits. I'm your host, Amy Davis. With us today is registered dietitian and healthy aging expert, Jeannie Peters. Jeannie is going to show us some foods that are really beneficial for brain health. Jeannie, hello. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here with us again today.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks for having me.
Now, I know, as you know, in the news, there's been more stories and stuff about Alzheimer's and dementia affecting people more so and earlier in life, like 40s, 50s. Why do you think this is?
A lot of it, Amy, is very much related to the inflammation that we have, and much of the inflammation that we're seeing in our brains is related to the kind of diets. Much of the foods that we're consuming are processed carbohydrates and a lot of sugar. So today I hope that we can unravel some of those myths around what foods would help to support the brain in the most optimal way.
Great, well let's jump right in. What are some of the foods that you're going to be showing us that maybe can help prevent and avoid this type of brain illness?
I think the number one thing I want to make sure that people get is that if you could trade some of your carbohydrates for a wide array of healthy fats, your brain is going to most benefit. I mean, the brain is more than 60% of its weight in fat. So if I can help people just know about some of the fats, along with some of the things such as some of the natural anti-inflammatory agents like turmeric, and then even looking at probiotics and blueberries and good old coffee.
All right, what's the first food you're going to discuss?
You know, let's talk about blueberries.
All right.
Because they're right there, and I think you know, blueberries are interesting. They're naturally something that cools the fires of inflammation in the brain, so that's one thing. But the other thing is that they've discovered that blueberries actually help us grow neurons, and we didn't think that was possible. So neurons are one of the key communication systems in our brain. But the other thing that they found, that a cup of blueberries a day, they've done some studies in which if adults consumed 1 cup of blueberries daily for 12 weeks, they had outstanding results in some of the basic cognitive tests that we now use to be able to look at early signs of Alzheimer's or dementia. So, you know, I just feel like blueberries are great regardless of what age. Start your kids on them early and look at maybe buying at least a container of blueberries a week.
Well, what's the next thing you're going to talk about?
Well, we have to talk about fat, and fat is really like a super fuel for the brain. So for many years it's been demonized, but I want to be able to point out some of the fats that we now know are critical. So, and why? So first of all, in a Journal of Alzheimer's, they discovered that people who traded their carbohydrates and increased the amount of fat reduced the risk for Alzheimer's by a whopping 44%.
Wow.
So it's a big deal. So couple things. I mean, obviously olive oil, even something like red palm oil.
Never even used that.
Yeah, palm oil is like an organic superfood, and what makes it red is a lot of the natural antioxidants that are found in the palm fruit, so wonderful for the brain. But one of the, anything that's wild-caught fish, so salmon or sardines, are naturally going to be a really rich source of omega-3 fatty acids. And the omega-3 fats are the ones that literally are the substrates that help to make up our brain.
Wow.
So our brain is 60% fat by weight, and there's 2 essential fatty acids that we need. EPA is one, but DHA is the other one. And DHA is something that is one of the most critical nutrients from the moment of conception, so that as the growing baby is developing, the spinal column and the brain is largely related to DHA. Wow. So we want to continue to be able to feed the brain DHA, and one of the best sources is going to be all of your wild-caught fish. A fish oil, you know, an omega-3 would be great. You know, looking for a brand that actually lists the fatty acids on the backside.
Which ones do you want to look for? Omega-3 fatty acids, or is there?
Omega-3, but of the omega-3, what you're looking for is to make sure that there's a good dose of DHA, and a good dose for you and I as adults would be about 500 to 1,000 milligrams a day. So then from there you could be able to determine what your dose would be. So, but then, you know, using your butter and your healthy oils are all going to help improve brain health.
Okay. What's next?
Next, we'd have to talk about, let's talk about turmeric.
Turmeric. I was just wondering, I'm like, what is that? That looks
so
delicious.
This is the root of turmeric, and it's the root that actually produces the compound turmeric, which many of us may use in cooking. But turmeric is a natural anti-inflammatory, so it's going to help calm down the fires that are in the brain, but actually all over the body. And it also improves sugar metabolism.
Wow.
So it actually helps support the brain by keeping sugars lower. Lower blood sugars, better brain. And so you could buy it as a spice,
powder.
And here it is. And turmeric seems to have an affinity for a lot of curries, but
Yes.
also just throwing it onto eggs, like making deviled eggs. You could put like a quarter of a teaspoon in. It's just, a natural anti-inflammatory. And by the way, turmeric has amazing benefits. It's great for pain control. It's also something that does a great job of helping to lower blood sugars. And it's now being researched about cancer.
Wow. So arthritis, diabetes,
got it.
cancer, probably.
Yeah. Everything that's it's like one of those basics that has many jobs.
And what about this? Coffee. We hear so many conflicting different reports that coffee is good for us, it's bad for us. So
Well, I'm happy to
what's the
report
deal?
that if you like a cup of coffee, enjoy it, because coffee actually helps to support the flow of blood through the brain, so that there's some definite benefits for a cup, maybe even to a cup and a half. Beyond that, we start getting some diminishing returns, because it actually raises our cortisol. It's kind of making our
Yes.
heart rate go up a little faster. But you got a big test, you've got an important presentation to do. A cup of coffee can actually be a great benefit.
Awesome. One thing I wanted to touch on before we go, I understand, I'm sure you know, that a lot of times the gut is referred to as the second brain, because I understand that, if I'm correct, a lot of our brain health has to do with our gut health. So
got
can
it.
you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great point. The gut is sort of really the key for creating all of our neurotransmitters. So in the gut lives most of our immunity, so 70% of your immune system lives in your gut. And then your probiotics that naturally reside in the gut actually create the brain chemicals that help our brains to function.
Wow.
So this is brand new cutting edge information. So I feel like it's important for people to get a probiotic source every day as part of their brain health program. So whether you get it in, let's say, the form of yogurt, or if you were taking it as like a cultured vegetable, like a raw sauerkraut, or just taking it as a supplement.
An actual probiotic supplement.
Right, like this one's, just something which these little carry packs, so you can
Just
just
so
take this
easy.
with you, like if you're traveling. So gut health, brain health.
Well, thank you so much, Jeannie, for shedding some light on this fascinating topic. I'm sure anyone with a brain can benefit from this.
Well said.
So it's always great to work with you and have you on Healthy Habits.
Thank you, Amy.
That's going to do it for this edition of Healthy Habits. We'll see you next time.